Hey everyone, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It is me coming back at you again with another live stream vid. I just hope everybody's now rejuvenated now, given the fact that we had a very good weekend of boxing. But to be very honest with you, I only saw one card that day because I was extremely busy, so I didn't have time to look at the other cards. What I'm referring to is the PBC and the top rank cards. I'll have to catch up on the highlights or if I can find the full fights on those cards. Is if I can find them as much as I can, then I'll do a separate video or live stream on those reviews. But the one that stood out the most is obviously the Oleksandr Usyk and Joshua 2 rematch that took place in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia last night, or last night in the other territories. What's good, Joe host? And the what you call it? Lost my train of thought. But over here in the West Coast, it was in the morning, early afternoon. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and go into a list of topics. First things first. Let's talk about the Oleksandr Usyk and Anthony Joshua post-fight review. So I want to get into that real quickly. Now, I see Olaf the Mighty. Shout out to Olaf the Mighty. He says that, the fight was super close. No, it wasn't. I mean, look, I'll get into that, and I'm going to give you my scorecard. I'm going to explain why the fight wasn't as close people make it out to be. Even though there were competitive rounds, but Usyk dominated down the stretch. So let me explain why. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to get into that, Joe host. I'm going to really get into that because we do have to cover that. So basically, the fight actually turned out almost essentially how the first fight played out, if you think about it, just with a little bit more intensity, a little more aggressiveness for both fighters, particularly Anthony Joshua, because the eyeballs and the curiosity was paid more attention to what what type of approach that he would take and what type of adjustments can he make in the rematch. Now, as I predicted, he was going to focus more on the body, and which he did. He did a very good job. So as far as I scored the rounds, I gave the first round to Usyk. Not much done there, but he did better work because he landed a good power up jab that stole the round, and which really got Joshua's attention. So he kind of stumbled a little bit. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with his not just the positioning in the middle of the ring, but that ring was very slippery because of so much sweat. It was hot. And, they had previous fights that took place, so maybe that's why he stumbled a little bit. Not necessarily because of the power jab that Usyk landed on him in that first round, but I think it's because the ring, there's a little bit too much slippage in that ring. So it kind of affected both fighters' movement and mobility. But Usyk, yeah, he still was able to move, but not as fluid as he normally does because again, that ring, that canvas was too slippery. It was just too hot, sweat. It was just too slippery because of all that sweat that took place in the previous cards from the other fighters. But he was still able to be mobile, for throughout the most part of the fight. So I gave the first round to Usyk. Second round, Joshua made a small adjustment. He focused on the body, so he did some good work there. Third round, I gave to Usyk. I thought he nicked it, even though it was a competitive round. Fourth round, I gave it to Usyk. Fifth round, I gave to Usyk, even though Joshua came back strong, but he still wasn't doing enough. Yes, he was landing a couple body shots here and there, but Usyk was just stealing it because he was landing, the jabs. He was landing some body shots himself, and he was just picking Josh, not saying picking him apart, but he was just nicking him. And as I was watching it live, I was like, dude, you got to pick up the pace. You can't just land a couple body shots, think you're stealing around. That's not how it's going to work. So going into the fifth round, I gave to Usyk. Sixth round, I gave to Usyk. And then so basically 6-7 rounds I gave to Usyk because I thought Usyk was just winning the fights, the middle part of the fight throughout the stretch. And as me and my friends were watching it live, we were just saying, look, Joshua's got to pick up the pace because he's losing this fight. So you could argue he's losing 6-2. I had it 7-1 for Usyk. Some had it 6-2, some had it 5-3. But the fact is that Joshua was losing that fight going into the eighth round. So the eighth round I gave to Joshua. He started to pick up the pace. He started to land some more effective body shots. Were taking a toll on Usyk. I think in one of those rounds, I think it was a 7th round, where he landed a right uppercut to the solar plex, but it was low blow. It was low. And people thought, oh, that was a body shot that hurt Usyk. No. It was a low blow. Because if you look at the replay, it was below the belt line. And Joshua was given a, not a stern warning, but he was told to keep the punches up. But other than that, we didn't really have much. We didn't really need much of the referee's interference in that fight. And I was a little concerned about Louis Popone being assigned to this fight because, as I recall, he did a terrible job, and this was many years ago. He did a terrible job officiating the Klitschko and Povetkin fight because he allowed Klitschko to get away with a lot of bullshit, a lot of legal tactics that he should have either got points deducted, which he did, but he should have been disqualified for the shit that he was doing to Povetkin. But it is what it is. But the 9th round was pretty much the telling round of the fight, if you think about it, for the most part, which I can't argue, because Joshua, obviously that was Joshua's best round out of all the 2 fights that he had with Usyk. He had Usyk hurt. He had him battered. And credit to Usyk, he weathered the storm. And yes, he was in trouble to some extent, but if you look closely, he was evading some of those shots too while he was taking punishment at the same time. But I have to say, though, Joshua pretty much emptied the clip in that round. He gave everything, tried to get Usyk out of there, but it just wasn't enough. But what's striking, though, after that round, you would think Oleksandr Usyk's going to need time to recover at least about a minute or two, going into the new round. But he got back on his toes and started punishing Joshua in that 10th round. And that's when, at that point, he dominated from there. He dominated the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th round, and that was it. Done. So my final card is 9 rounds to 3. I could see 8-4, 7-5. I think you're giving Joshua way too much of a benefit of the doubt there, but 8-4, the latest, it's pretty much played out almost essentially like the first fight, but a bit of better adjustment. Again, more intensity from both fighters. And yes, Joshua did perform better than he did in the first fight, but Usyk did as well. He wanted another gear, and as I told people, that he has more gears to show you than just what he did in the first fight. So my hat's off to him. He did earn the win. But I have to talk about the scorecards real quickly because one judge had it 115-113 for Anthony Joshua, and that's Glenn Feldman. And he's the U.S. judge. The other 2 judges, one is a Brit, I forgot his last name. He scored it 115-113 for Usyk, and the Ukrainian judge scored it 116-112 for Usyk. So Usyk won by split decision. Look, it was close going into the 9th round, but after that, Usyk dominated the fight. He dominated at the 10, 12, 11 to 12th round. He dominated. Joshua was gone. He was spent. He didn't have much left on his punches after that 9th round. He just gave up. He gave up everything in that 9th round, and it was telling. It was telling. But yeah, it wasn't 7-5 either way, man. Now Joshua lost that fight. There was no way you could have given him no more than 6 rounds if you want to be that generous. He did not win that fight. Neither did Eddie Hearn believe he won that fight. Even most of his supporters believed he lost because he clearly got beaten up for rounds 10, 11, and 12. You could clearly see he was getting beat up. Usyk was just picking him apart with hitting so many power shots in between rounds 10 and 11 after the 9th. He just didn't have anything left after that. So, I mean, look, it's an admirable performance, but we got to say this. You got to keep it real. He's just not good enough to beat Usyk. That's just the way it is. Usyk always has his number. So, yeah, I don't agree with that assessment all of it. It could not have gone either way. Joshua clearly lost that fight. And that's why Glenn Feldman is getting a lot of heat for that because many observers, even the avid Joshua fans even said that he lost. And they're calling out Glenn Feldman for calling that fight 7-5. There's no way he won that fight. If you want to give him a decision, there's no way he did. So, but anyhow, yeah, I scored it 9-3. That's what I did. 8-4 the best, if you want to look at it. So, but again, I'll be fair. I'll look at it one more time to see if I can revise my scores. But I just pretty much the fight played out almost like the first fight, with just that both men made tactical adjustments. That's what they did, particularly on Joshua's part. So I do give him credit for trying. He fought hard. And most importantly, his chin held up. His chin held up. His conditioning held up until that 9th round came. I think he realized at that point that I'm going to run out of gas here, so I got to go for it, in which he did. He had to go for it, but it wasn't enough. Usyk proves that he could take power shots from big heavyweights like Anthony Joshua. I mean, the body shots, he took them, boy. He took, I mean, anybody who get hit with body shots like that from Anthony Joshua would have folded, but Usyk didn't fold. He took them, he kept going, he kept bouncing on his toes, and there was many moments in that fight he stood toe-to-toe in the middle of the ring with Joshua. I'm like, what? And he was beating him to the punch. It was like, this, yeah, I'm like, what am I seeing here? I mean, this guy's power recoveries is unbelievable. Now, Tyson Fury's got very good powers of recovery, but at least he needs about a minute or two to recover after taking a bad, taking punishment. But god damn, Usyk, like when you punish him, it's like he recovers like within the next 30 seconds. It's like, what? I'm like, this guy, it's like he took a bad punishment, let's say bad beating, but he took a punishment as hell in that 9th round, and he got back up on his stool in the 10th like nothing happened. Like, what? I'm not saying he's superhuman, but that's a rarity I've ever seen someone do that. Maybe he was hurt, but he just played it off like, nah, I'm not going to give my opponent that mental edge thinking I'm hurt. And that's what you have to do when you're in the field of battle. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the Rifleman won the fight. I know a lot of people saying it was close. Nah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I mean, look, there were some nip and tuck rounds, but if you want to talk about nip and tuck rounds, definitely I would say the 2nd round was nip and tuck, but I gave to Joshua. I would say the 4th and 5th were I say 4th, maybe 5th round was nip and tuck, but I gave to Usyk because I think he had the better work. But other than that, the last 3 rounds, Joshua lost. Clearly lost those last 3 rounds. Now, he won round 8 and won round 9, no question there, but he lost the last 3 rounds. And again, everybody says that's what cost him the fight. He lost the last 3 rounds. He was dominated there. So, yeah, it could not have gone 7-5 either way. I don't agree with that. Now, let's talk about the post-fight. Oh, boy. We really got to talk about this one because the post-fight was, oh, boy. In case many people, some people that have not seen it, and I'm sure everybody's seen it already because it's viral. Everything's gone viral. It's become a meme at this point. Anthony Joshua meltdown after he realized he lost to Oleksandr Usyk again. All right. This dude literally got upset, right? He start cussing out Lomachenko, right? And Lomachenko was trying to, to praise him, give him respect, say, hey, man, you fought hard. You fought with a lot of heart. He's like, fuck that. I was good. He's like, fuck that. Fuck that. Yelling at Lomachenko like, what is wrong with this dude? And then he was, going off. I'm not sure who he was trying to go after. Maybe some of Usyk's handlers or something. I don't know what it was. But he stormed out of the ring. Well, before he stormed out of the ring, he threw Usyk's belts. He grabbed the WBA and the Ring Magazine belt. He was yelling at somebody. I don't know who it was. I think he was yelling at at the crowd. And then he just threw the belts out the ring. He walked out, and he was told to come back into the ring. I don't know why someone told him to do that. I don't know if it was Eddie Hearn. I don't know who it was. But he was told to come back into the ring, right? He confronts Usyk, and he's like, and Usyk was trying to be congratulatory to him, saying, hey, nah, fuck that, fuck straight, man. He said, no, you ain't strong, you're not strong. How'd you beat me? I had character, I had determination. How'd you beat me? And Usyk was trying to calm him down. It's like, look, man, can you relax for a second? And the next he's like, grab me the mic. I need the mic. And this is where we got to call him out for this, all right? Because he went on there, he ranted, right? And before he could speak, Usyk was he grabbed, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. He grabbed Usyk's flag before he confronted him, right? And then when he got the mic, he wanted to speak and address the crowd. Usyk was politely asking him, can I get my flag back? He's like, no, I'm talking. He's like, no, can I get my flag back? He's like, oh, okay, sorry. So he gave him back his flag that he asked him, right? His Ukrainian flag, that is. Then he goes on a rant, talking about his past issues, and then how he came up from a tough upbringing, which is all admirable. I get that. All right. And then he goes on to his diatribe talking about this guy's a hell of a fighter. I mean, for him to beat me like this, he's incredible. I'm like, yeah, he beat you the first time. So why are you pretending that first fight didn't happen? Oh my goodness. But anyhow, he goes on to say that I'm not a 12-round fighter. I mean, look at me. I mean, all this shit I have to take, blah, blah, blah. And forgive me, guys, I'm paraphrasing here a little bit. And then he goes on to say that, go from these heavyweight legends, Mike Tyson to Sonny Liston and Jack Dempsey. And then people telling me that I don't throw combinations like Rocky Marciano. Like, fuck that. He was 14 stone. Look at me. I'm a big guy. I'm huge. I'm heavy. I can't throw punches like that. All right. Okay. And then he goes on to say that, then he directs his attention to Usyk again, talking about, yeah, I understand what's going on in Ukraine. I know, I haven't been there. Must be a nice place and all. And then he goes back at Lomachenko again, talking about, yeah, Lomachenko, I know your situation. You fought Orlando Salido in your second fight when there was a civil unrest, right? Am I right? Am I right? And then Fatali fought Danny Williams and was a civil unrest. To me, I don't understand where he was going at this, because it seemed to me that he was talking about, maybe I'm just only speculating. Maybe he thought that he was hard done to because of the political aspect of the fact that Ukraine's going through a tough situation with Russia right now. He felt that Usyk was given the benefit of the doubt because of the fact that he's Ukrainian. I don't buy that bullshit. You just lost to a better man. I'm not sure if he realized, and I think he did now. He realizes now that you lost the last 3 rounds. You got beaten up in those 3 rounds. There was no question about it. So I don't, then he goes on to say, he just goes on to say hip hop parade of Usyk, give him respect. And I do give him, I do give him, admirable credit for that. But in reality, man, somebody should have took the mic off of him, man. He shouldn't have gone up there and steal the limelight for Oleksandr Usyk. That was his moment. He was the better man. He will always be the better man. He has your number. He earned that victory, given the fact what he's going through right now, not only with the situation in his home country, but with family and personal issues that he may have to deal with. You're going to take that limelight away from him like that. You can't do that. You can't do that. To me, that's selfish and that's out of line. And somebody should have told him, you need to get out the ring, bro. I don't care how upset you are. You lost. That's that man's moment. You need to give that, you need to let him have his moment. All right, of being the victor. He earned that victory, and there's, you can't take that away from him, which he did. And by the way, he did that before with the Andy Ruiz first fight. I guess nobody really didn't pay too much into that, but in a way, he kind of stole the limelight for Ruiz after that loss. So, but to be fair, he didn't do that in the first Usyk rematch. Sorry, not rematch, the first Usyk fight. So I'll give him a little bit of benefit of doubt there, but again, that was all called for, and that was all the line. But when he got back to the dressing room, one of the referees in one of the undercards, I think it was the referee for the Philip Herkovic and the Julie Zhang fight. I'm going to get into that one shortly. The referee told him in the back dressing room, keep it classy, keep it professional. And then he snapped. He's like, what the fuck you say to me? What did you say to me? And you got Derek Chisora of all people holding you back, man, telling you to calm down. I mean, god damn. I mean, you got Derek Chisora who has to be the wise man here, telling you need to relax, you need to chill. Now, Derek Chisora is a volatile individual, but the one thing I can say about him is that he doesn't, take losses that, yes, he gets upset about losses, but he doesn't really snap when he loses. I mean, that's one thing I have to say about Derek Chisora. He takes losses like, okay, whatever, loss is a loss, I move on. I'm just going here to make money. That's all I'm here to do. But yeah, man, I mean, that meltdown was uncalled for, man. I just felt that, again, Usyk didn't deserve that. He was just sitting there looking like, dude, you lost your fucking mind? I know some people thought he was shook a little bit because Joshua was coming at him aggressively after the fight. Maybe there's some bit of intimidation, but I didn't see it that way, because Usyk is like, dude, you need to relax. He was trying to talk to the guy, and he was just sitting there. I mean, you got to give Usyk credit and respect there, because he gave him a chance to vent out. He could have said, you know what, you had your time, man. Give me my mic. But he just sat there, let him vent and let him rant. It's like, get your frustrations off your chest and then go about your business. All right. But Usyk kind of looked at him like, dude, you lost your fucking mind. I mean, serious. You lost your mind, dude. And then at the fight presser, at the, the post fight, I mean, him breaking down in tears. Yes, it was an emotional moment, man. But the way that presser was set up, right? This is just my opinion. The way that presser was set up, and shout out to EJ. EJ, we brought this up on a live stream yesterday. We were listening to it. It seemed like to me, and it got me thinking that this sounds like like a retirement goal. It's like a retirement speech or something. Like he's going away. He's going away from boxing for good. I really don't see that. I really hope that's not the case. But man, it seems like he's checked out, man. I mean, seriously, mentally he's checked out. And Eddie Hearn's talking about, he'll be back in the ring in December. Nah, man, that's not a good idea. I'm gonna be real with you. For Joshua's mental health sake, you need to allow him to get another year off, at least about, I'll say, close to 14 months max. Give him time to think and let him reassess his career, where it should go at this point, because he's not mentally there. he won't be, ready mentally to take another fight, whether it's a Joe Schmo or not. He won't be ready to do that. So you need to let him get some rest and let him, let him enjoy his life, man. Because at the end of the day, yeah, he's no longer in the championship picture, for now, but let him rest and let him, give him the time to think. Because I think at the end of the day, it's just that all the intense pressure that he had to deal with for the last 6 years, 7 years now, and he handled it well. We got to give him respect for that. But I think at this point, after that second Usyk loss, it really took a toll on him. It really did. I think, given, the nature of how he approached the fight, it did seem like he really wanted to win, but it just, yeah, man, it's just that he's got to, he's got to go away for a while. Now I got to call out, some dudes with double standards out there. All right, I'm listening to a lot of live streams and a lot of uploaders who are giving Joshua the benefit of the doubt for the way he behaved after the fight. Okay, well, you know what? They saying, well, that's the real AJ we should have saw. I like that. He should have showed that in the fight. Yeah, fair enough, but it was still unprofessional. It was uncalled for. Yeah, as I remember, we all took a dig at Deontay Wilder, and trust me, this is coming from a Deontay Wilder fan like me. All right, we all got on his ass for the way he behaved after the Fury fight, especially the second one, where he didn't take that loss kindly. He was blaming, an object, human beings, egg wigs. I mean, obviously that's an object. He was blaming all sorts of things, everything in the universe. That, the reason why he lost the Tyson Fury fight because of these certain factors. It wasn't on him. All right. Joshua did the same fucking thing. He did the same thing. He wants to blame everybody and blame certain people because he lost to Usyk. No, you lost to Usyk because you lost to him. You lost to a man who's better than you, who always have your number. That's just the way it is. Deontay Wilder, you lost to Tyson Fury because he's a better man than you. Regardless of what you say about Tyson Fury, I don't like him either. But he always has your number, and styles make fights. So you got to deal with it. Even all-time greats have lost to guys who've always had their numbers. All right? So it's okay. You can move on. And I think Deontay Wilder's kind of gotten over that now. And I'll probably talk about him briefly. Dwayne, I'll send you the link. He says, you asked me who did he blame? Well, he indirectly blamed when he gave that speech, and he did simmer down after that speech, that rant. He going on this diatribe about Ukraine and his unrest in the situation. From what I gather from that, it seems to me that he's blaming the fact that the other two judges that saw Usyk win the fight, they're giving him the benefit of the doubt because of his situation in Ukraine. And he keeps deferring to the Lomachenko situation. I'm like, what is he doing? It seems like he was trying to blame the situation why he lost the fight is because Usyk's Ukrainian. That's what I got from that. But he did later apologize. He apologized to Usyk on social media, which was the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, you got to call it out. If we're going to call out Deontay Wilder for doing what he did after the second Tyson Fury fight, and even in the third fight when he didn't want to give Fury the respect, and he did later acknowledge that he was the better man, we move on. Fine. We all got on Wilder for that. But yet here we are. You got the apologist who wants to give Joshua benefit of the doubt, but yet he acted totally out of line in that post fight presser, trying to attack the damn referee, who officiated the Herkovich and the Shuli Zhang fight. Try to attack him in the hallway. In the back, in the backstage of the hall, I should say. And then he wanted to go after Usyk's handlers, trying to intimidate Lomachenko. I mean, this guy is like, what is he? Storming out of the ring, throwing the belts to the floor. It's like, what? Come on, man, that was bizarre. Very bizarre behavior. I mean, look. He lost a fight. He lost to a better man. And some of these people can't even accept the fact that Usyk will always be the better man than him. They can't accept it. And I'm like, come on, man. These are the same people who said that all the LDBC guys need to accept the fact that Tyson Fury will always be better than Deontay Wilder. Yeah, I agree. They need to accept that fact that, I'm sure they don't do, but they have to accept it. That's just the way it is. But you guys have to do the same thing. You have to accept the fact that Oleksandr Usyk will always have Anthony Joshua's number. That's just the way it is. Styles make fights. And that was a horrible style matchup for Anthony Joshua from the beginning. And there's a reason why Hearn didn't want that fight initially. He was trying to get Joshua to vacate that WBO belt as soon as they mandated that fight. Now, looking back on that, they probably wish they could go back back in time and say, you know what, we should have vacated that belt. Because if we didn't fight Usyk, we probably wouldn't be in this position right now. But at the same time, you have to take on challenges when you're in a position like Anthony Joshua. You have to take on challenges, man. You have to prove everyone that you can beat a guy who's very decorated, who's very experienced, who's had over, 350 amateur fights, WSB champion. national champion, European champion in the amateurs, Olympic gold medalist, undisputed cruiserweight champion, lineal champion, and now he's the unified lineal heavyweight champion of the world, who in my eyes is pound for pound number one. No disrespect to Terrence Crawford and Naoya Inoue. I like Terrence Crawford. He's one of my favorite fighters, but he's not been active enough for me to keep him at number one. No, Usyk is the guy. He is the guy. Yeah, I think after that victory, he should be universally recognized as the number one fighter in the world. He has to. So, and I think if that's the case, that would be, I think the last heavyweight that was recognized as the best fighter in the world, pound for pound, universally recognized, I should say, was Mike Tyson. That was back in 1989. He was the last heavyweight. And he wasn't, by the way, he's a natural heavyweight, so he didn't come up with weight. So let's, throw that factor in. He was the last heavyweight to be ranked number one pound for pound universally across the board. All the rating publications back in 1989. So Usyk would probably be, that's like what, 32 years? Wow. And Usyk will be the first heavyweight since Mike Tyson to reach that feat. So as far as the post-fight interview with Oleksandr Usyk, admirably, dedicated his victory to the country of Ukraine, especially what they're going through right now. They were asked about the Tyson Fury fight. They definitely want to make that fight next. And Usyk did say that, look, if I can't get the Fury fight, then I'm not going to fight anymore. It may sound a little disappointing, but I can understand why Usyk would do that because he is 35 years old. He is a naturally smaller guy, heavyweight. So, he's had a long, what up, Amir? Long amateur career. So maybe he would want to call it quits if he can't get the Fury fight. So, and speaking of Tyson Fury, this dude goes on to fucking social media talking about, yeah, I'll fight Oleksandr Usyk, but you got to bring out the checkbook. Oh boy, here we go. When somebody says you got to bring out the checkbook, yes, you got to negotiate for a good amount of money, but it's out of the Usyk fight. Honestly, I don't think Tyson Fury wants to fight Usyk at the moment. I mean, I could be wrong, but he's ducked that fight, and believe it or not, he did. There was a chance back in March or February of this year where not only Eddie Hearn had said that they would agree to step aside to allow Usyk to fight Fury for the undisputed title. Alexander Khrushchev even said it himself 3 days ago that, yeah, we were ready to go. All parties involved, including Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua, and Dillian White, they all were willing to step aside. But Tyson Fury comes back and says, no, I'm not going to fight Usyk unless I get a tune-up, which is ridiculous. So he ducked out of that fight because he didn't want to fight Usyk at that time. I don't know why, but obviously we know why, because he doesn't know he can beat him. I don't think Tyson Fury believes he can beat him at this point. I think he's waiting for him to slow down and see some type of slippage where he thinks is the right time to get him. So that's just my take on it. But I'm gonna go ahead and post the link in the chat. I know Dwayne wants to get in, so if anybody want to hop on, go ahead, cool. But let's go into what's next for Oleksandr Usyk and Anthony Joshua. I kind of delved into that a little bit, so let's talk about it. What's next for both fighters? Now, as far as Oleksandr Usyk, hopefully he can get the Fury fight. But if not, he says he's going to retire. Like I said, I don't, slightly disappointed, but I can understand why, because he goes down as an all-time great anyway. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. So no argument there if he decides to do that, if he can't get the Fury fight. Now, as far as Anthony Joshua is concerned, as I mentioned, he needs to take a rest, man. He can't go back and fight in 4 months, as Eddie Hearn suggests that he will do. No, he can't do it. Not for his mental state right now. He needs at least 1 year off, or maybe 1.5 years just to get himself together. Because all that pressure, man, you got to give him time to relax, man. Again, it seems like to me, the way he spoke, it seems like he realizes that he will no longer get another shot at the title. He's out of the picture, but I don't really believe that. But that's just, just give him time to relax and recuperate mentally, man, and see where he's at this point. Hey, what's up, guys? Dwayne, Amir, what's going on?
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother. I can hear you good.
Yo, how's it going? It's been a while.
Yeah, good guys, good. I know Dwayne got in first, and Amir, you came in last. But Dwayne, you want to go ahead and say something? Share your thoughts.
Well, it was You were right. I was wrong.
Hey, bro, we all gotta eat crow sometimes. Hey, I have plenty of crow dinners, man, with that extra sauce on top.
With the bro. So obviously, with the meltdown, I don't know whether he was concussed or he just broke character.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
probably.
I
Yeah,
don't know whether he was concussed or he just broke character, because it's like, if you watch the videos, it's like he built up to that angry point. It wasn't like straight after they announced the winner, he
right,
went crazy. Do you understand?
right.
He was
Yeah, yeah, it
taught.
was all built up. Yeah, you got a point there
Yeah,
because it's funny though. It's kind of weird because when Michael Buffer announced that Usyk was a winner, he kind of said, okay, he clapped, and it's like, okay, cool. He won, right? The next thing you know, out of nowhere, it's like you get to your point and start to build up anger inside. He's like, look, I can't hold this no more. I'm pissed off. He just got going off on Lomachenko. Lomachenko was trying to give him some respect and say, hey, man, you fought hard. You fought hard. He's like, fuck that. I was a good fighter. Fuck that. I'm like, dude, he just going off on little Lomachenko. Like, what the
yeah,
hell? And then he was going off at, I think from, from the Sky Sports angle where he was just like enraged in the middle of the ring, right? I thought he was trying to go after some of Usyk's handlers or something. I don't know what it was. I think that's what it was. He was trying to go after them. I don't know what that was all about. That's when he stormed out of the ring. Then he was asked to come back. To me, whoever told him that he needed to go back in the ring, I think that was a bad idea. They should have let him go back to the locker room and just let him be. Let him finish frustration there. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Now, what I want to say is, I don't know. When I watched the post interview, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it was a retirement speech, but it was like, I think, like, because think about it, like when we've seen him take losses, his
Yeah.
past 2 losses before this one, I think he really believed in his head that in the rematch I can fix it.
Right.
Because now you have to look at, he's lost, there's no rematch. So there's no chance of getting the belts. So
Yeah.
I think he just took that proper hard, like, no, because if you really deep it, he's been champion. He's been fighting world titles since Charles Martin.
Right. To 2015. Yeah.
Yeah,
2016. Yeah.
yeah.
2015.
Every
Right.
fight has been a world title fight up until now.
Right.
If
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
now he's looking at, I'm not one of the main guys in the division. And I was on I was watching somebody else's channel, and what they said is that this is probably who he really is, because remember, we all know he's bubble wrapped. Media can't
Right.
ask him certain questions, like people can't say certain things to him because Matchroom control the space that he's in, blah blah
Right.
blah. And this was the first time where, like, he's not in control. Do you understand? So
Right.
now things are not in control. It's like, that's why Eddie Hearn was like, when he was breaking down, Eddie Hearn was like, "Oh, you guys answer me questions." You see, because he's still trying to save
The
face.
image.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
image. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, go
Sorry.
on. No,
No.
go
No.
on, go
Go.
on, go on.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's an excellent point, man. I mean, that's why Eddie Hearn was giving pretty much a ceremonial speech, if you want to talk about it in the in the post fight. But it seemed like it was like a going away, party or something like that. The way they were speaking about his career and his accomplishments, what he went through, from leading up to this point. It seems like it seems like that you just to get from that, you're thinking, okay, they may think this is the end of the road for him. I'm like, nah, man, I don't think it is. But they're speaking that way. But now Eddie Hearn's talking about that. Oh, he'll be back in December. I just think that's a bad idea. He cannot fight in December. You got to let him take some more time off. Give him a year or two. Not a year or two. I'm sorry, a year and a half maybe. Give him time to think and let him enjoy his life and take that pressure off him. I think Eddie Hearn is partly to blame for this whole debacle in a way, because I think he put too much pressure on Joshua more than he can handle, especially
Yeah,
going into this rematch.
yeah.
At the end of the day, it's Joshua's job to get it done. But I just think that Eddie Hearn put on way too much pressure on him, that pretty much unnecessary pressure, especially given the fact leading up to the rematch, like a couple days before the fight, he's going out there doing all these interviews saying that Joshua has to win. He's got to get him out of there. No excuses, no exceptions. He cannot let this fight go the distance. I'm like, God damn it. We all know that, but you don't have to be all, vocal about it. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
go have it. What do you think, Amir?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't really buy the whole fake thing. I think that's genuinely him. Obviously, everybody has like different sides to their personality. He had a
Yeah.
little outburst. It is what it is. In terms of Eddie Hearn, obviously he's just gonna say whatever he feels.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, yeah, he added on pressure. I think we're talking about a pro fighter that's made millions, and Eddie Hearn hasn't changed really and
Yeah.
truly throughout AJ's career. So I mean, I would expect Eddie Hearn to say what he said, and in some ways it's just hyping him up as well. But none of the like the pre-fight footage and stuff gets back really to what it shouldn't get back to Joshua, because he should have a whole team around him, like
Right.
avoid the media, avoid this, avoid that, da, da, da. So he wouldn't even have heard presumably any of Eddie's comments
Right.
before the fight.
Right.
It's just really mainly for the fans, and I think if he won,
Yeah.
people wouldn't be saying anything. You know what I mean? People would be like, "Oh man, Eddie Hearn said it." He was like, "Yeah, it's pain, and that's what he brought." Do you know what I mean? So I don't really buy into that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, man. You want to say so you can finish up there? I'm sorry.
y-
Go ahead, Dwayne.
yeah, no, no. I just wanted to say, like, I just think, obviously, you know, when you're if AJ wasn't controlled by Matchroom, we don't know. He'd probably be like Wilder, like
Yeah,
he lost, make excuses. They're all the same. Like, if we keep it real, you know what I mean?
that's
All the
true. They
same.
are.
Like they've just trained him to be like, humble after defeat, all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I just think yesterday was the first real time. Then and when he, I say there's three moments when he got pushed by Gerald Miller.
Yeah.
That was one. The other one was when he lost to Andy Ruiz and they asked him about Lennox Lewis. You remember that
Yeah.
bit? Yeah. And obviously yesterday, because yesterday it really dawned on him that, cool, I'm not gonna be fighting for the belt no more. And really and truly, now you look at it, I don't know whether they should put him in another fight for now. I don't know, because it mentally they shouldn't,
Yeah.
but physically they should, because you're forgetting he hadn't fought for 11 months.
That's true. Good point.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he's been relegated to fight once a year for the last
Yeah.
3 years now.
I think. Well, hold on. I think that helped him. Like like he was probably. It probably would have ended even worse if he fought 3 months after the first fight, like 4 months after the first fight. He actually had a decent showing. You know what I mean? Yesterday.
That
I
is,
think the
that
11
is a
months
good
definitely
point.
helped.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I said myself too, because I was wondering why this rematch is taking so long to make. I think Matchroom deliberately delayed that fight so they could give Joshua more time to recover and get him more prepared for that rematch. Because if that rematch was going to go down 3 months after the first fight, it'd been a lot worse for Anthony Joshua, a lot worse. So
Yeah,
But
I mean, a lot of it was obviously due
agree
to
with Anthony.
Usyk because of the
Dominated
Ukraine.
though.
yeah, here, go ahead, Dwayne. What
I
did you
said
say?
I don't know if I agree with you saying he got dominated. Like, that's a bit strong.
No, I
That's
think he
a bit
did.
strong.
I think he did,
Well,
because I scored it 9-3. All right. It kind of played out like the first fight, but what made the difference is that Usyk dominated the last 3 rounds. He did. So you could clearly see he
yeah,
dominated the last 3 rounds. He beat him up and he punished him worse than in those 3 rounds that he did in the first fight.
But
That's
yeah,
exactly what happened.
but that was because AJ threw the kitchen sink in the ninth, so he
Right.
had
True.
nothing left. Because if you really look at 10, 10 was a bit back and forth until the last minute and a half. Then Usyk just beat the hell out of him. From
Nah,
that,
it wasn't back and forth, bro.
no,
That's not what I saw.
because what I was
I
watching was,
don't think he did that bad.
I don't think he did that bad. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you say dominated, like, I'm looking at it like, to me, this is how I
Yeah,
scored. This is how I scored the fight. I gave Usyk round 1. I gave AJ round 2.
Uh-huh.
I gave Usyk 3 and 4. So I had it 2-2 going into 5.
Right.
Then I had um 5, 6, and 7. I gave to Usyk. Then I gave 8 and 9. So I had it 5-4 going into 10.
Okay,
Then
so
yeah,
you have
but
I,
five
you
four
see,
so I
going
had
in.
it
the thing,
8-4. I had it
Sorry.
see the
8-4.
thing, the
So you
thing
had
is
8-4
with
for
a lot
Usyk.
of these.
Okay.
You
Go
see,
ahead.
the thing is with a lot of these fights, yeah.
Mhm.
When you're scoring it like round by round, right,
Yeah.
and then it's like 7-5 or 8-4, da da da. Da, you can say he's dominated. But a lot of the rounds, like if you score it like round by round, a lot of them are 60-40 rounds. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
they're
Like
kind of nip and tuck.
60%
Yeah,
Usyk and then
yeah,
40%, you know what I mean, AJ and stuff. And then he came in the ninth. And then after that, he was kind of gassed and da. I mean, I think he did a lot better in the first fight, and he didn't seem like he was going to get knocked out at any point, except maybe one where just out of fatigue. He
yeah.
didn't look like he was hurt. Like at a certain point, even after he emptied out his tank right in the ninth, yeah, he
Yeah.
was just eating the punches like from Usyk. So
I know that's the
like this
thing,
guy,
though. That's why I give him a lot of respect there because his chin held up, and I mean those shots were big. I'm like, God damn. I know
Mhm.
Usyk is not a big, like a big puncher, but he can hurt you. He can hurt you. And Joshua took him like, God damn it, he was still standing, but you could tell that he was lethargic. He didn't have nothing left. But other than that, though, let's put it this way: you guys probably convinced me to change my mind a little bit. So we can all agree that he soundly beat Anthony Joshua. That'd be the
Yeah,
better term for it.
it was a domination. To me, what I saw was for every good shot AJ hit to the body, Usyk hit with 2 good clean shots, especially when he like for example, Joshua would throw the right and he ducked, and Usyk
Yeah,
would still hit him. He
yeah,
still hit him with like 2 shots when AJ's head was low,
yeah.
you know. But the ninth round, I ain't gonna lie, I was getting crazy.
Yeah, that was his last chance right there. It was
yeah,
yeah, it was his last chance. But the thing
He
about that too,
even
and I commented on that earlier, is that Usyk he was in trouble. But for the some of the parts he did evade some of those shots, but he was getting hit, he was staggered, he was railing back. But what's remarkable is that dude got up after in the 10th round, he went back to work like it was nothing. Like what the fuck? How did he recover so
yeah.
quickly?
No, that's because it's that recovery. You know what I mean? Like I think if it was like 4 minute rounds, if that ninth round was 4 minutes, like the Hergovich fight, that would have been a bad round for Usyk. But
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
yeah, no, like he recovered nicely. You know, he recovered quick.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, yeah. I thought Hergovich got lucky. I thought he got
Yeah.
lucky.
He lost that fight, dude. No
Yeah.
fucking way he won that fight. In fact, Dwayne just got dropped off. Probably back connection. He'll come back in. But Herkovich definitely lost that fight, dude. I mean, I know the knockdown is debatable,
Well,
but go
yeah.
ahead. The knockdown was
I
debatable.
kind of I thought he nipped it. You know, I ain't gonna
Oh,
lie.
really?
Yeah, I thought he kind of nipped it, you know. Wait, let me pull up the text that I sent to my cousin on Hergovich. I thought he lost like the first 4 rounds, and then 5-8, and he was obviously, I think he got dropped, right?
Yeah,
So
the
he was
first round he
getting
got
beat
dropped.
up for the so he was getting beat up for the first 5 rounds, right? Then I
Yeah.
think he came back 6-8, and then round 9 he got banged again. But then 10-11 he came back, and then in round 12, Kang didn't do nothing. I
Well,
think
yeah.
Kang would have actually won if he did something in round 12, but he did absolutely nothing in round 12.
But what I would say was some of the rounds Zhang won, yeah, he beat him so bad that you could have scored it at 10-8. Like
Right.
some of the rounds that I saw that this guy was lighting him up. And Hergovich was sometimes he'd just be walking away. I
Yeah,
was thinking, what's wrong with
it was
this
like
guy?
I know it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
was sleepwalking or a zombie. It's like what the fuck is wrong with him? It's like he wants to
Yeah, no,
lose.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So if you're looking at it like that, who won the fight? Yeah, definitely Zhang. But I think who won the boxing match? Like, if you don't drop him, it's not a 10-8 round to me. Do you know what I mean? It's just a 10-9 round.
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I'll watch the fight again. But at this point, we all agree that Herkovich got a gift decision, man. I mean, he didn't win that fight at all. I think he was surprised to get that decision, to tell you the truth. But I have to point this out because this card, even though it was a pretty good card, other than the Count Smith fight and the Rama Ali fight, those ended in knockouts, right? I have to say though, man, the Badu Jack and the Rivera card, Popeye Rivera won that fight, and I didn't give
Yeah, that was a
Rivera,
robbery.
Robert. I didn't give Rivera no chance at all, but he boxed extremely well. And I have to point out that he's coming up from light heavyweight to fight Jack at cruiserweight. And Jack just literally just load up on every shot. And Rivera could see those coming from a mile. He was countering with some 3 good counter punches. And the fact is he lost that fight. He got a gift decision. Herkovich lost his fight with Zhang, got a gift decision. Glenn Feldman scored the fight between
that
Anthony
was
Joshua
dope.
against Oleksandr Usyk. And what's funny about that? Yeah, that card scoring was bizarre. I was like,
Yeah,
what
that
the
was a
fuck is
joke.
going on here? I know how you mentioned this too when we talk. But god damn. But anyway, speaking of Glenn Feldman, I'm not sure you guys seen the video with IDT boxing channel with Rob Tibbett. Rob Tibbett confronted Glenn Feldman. He's like, hey, how the hell, you're not saying how the hell, but he asked him what Joshua do to convince you that he won that fight. And then Glenn Feldman's like, I can't answer questions. You need to talk to my supervisor. I'm like, what? You're the judge. Me personally, I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're the judge who scored the fight. Why do I need to talk to the supervisor?
Yeah.
So,
but Dan, could you see how in hell? I don't understand how the hell that people had Joshua ahead after 9,
right.
and then they said that Usyk won because he won the last 3 rounds. I don't know how they saw that.
I mean, either.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
That's
Yeah, but Glenn Feldman, we got to talk to him about that. He didn't want to answer any questions, and I applaud Rod Tibbett for actually getting a judge on the record to ask he or she, why did you score the fight the way you did? What did you see different from the other 2 judges? And he didn't want to answer any questions. I'm like, what the hell?
No. Listen, Joshua at most, being like optimistic and generous, he won 4 rounds at most. Right. And if he had dropped Usyk twice, then he would have won the fight. But
absolutely
anything less than that, then nah, bro. He lost convincingly on every scorecard.
I agree. I definitely agree, man. But yeah, man, like I said though, he definitely needs a break. I don't think like I said though, I don't think he's ready for it. Well, mentally, like you said, Dwayne, mentally he's not ready to go back in December, but physically he could be, because he's still physical presence. He still has his prowess, but other than that, Joshua just needs a year off.
I don't think, you know what, to be honest, I feel like if he takes a year off, that would actually hurt him more than it will harm him. What he needs is some light touch fights. He needs to build his way back up. I feel like he needs to fight some, Fury, when he, came back out, he fought Wallin and some other guy, a couple of jokers, before he fought Deontay Wilder. Like he needs some kind of that level of opposition, just build back up, and then get to contender level, be a contender, maybe Dillian White, and then, maybe a Wilder as well. And then he can challenge for the back. Because, I think, I don't think that AJ could never beat Usyk. I think he can beat him, but it just didn't work. Like, probably 6 times out of 10, Usyk beats him. And 2 of those times just happened to be the times that Usyk would have beat him. But I think that he can actually beat Usyk. Like, if he had enough, it just didn't work out.
Cardio, he probably would have, but apparently that's what plagued him, is that he even said himself after in the post-fight rant, I'm not a 12-round fighter, meaning that I'm not built to go 12 rounds. I don't have that structure. Yes, I can survive.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I could survive, but I can't fight, at a pace for 12 rounds. I can't fight at a pace like you see me in the first few rounds in a 12-round fight. I can't do it. He admits that.
But if that was the case, though, why didn't he step on the gas before the 6th round, though? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh my God! Like, if you know that, just go all out. Like, because I know. I think I know why as well. Because he'd rather lose on points than get knocked out.
Exactly. I was going to get into that. I think he was afraid of that because he knew if he emptied the tank against Usyk and Usyk was still standing there, Usyk was going to pick him apart and take him out. He knew that, and that's why he was trying to pace himself and see if he could get him in the later rounds. But I mean, look, it is what it is. I mean, that's why I say though, it's just like, how do you beat Usyk? He took his best punches. He did. He took Joshua's best power shots, and he wasn't going anywhere. The body shots definitely.
You know what? One thing though, one thing I'd say that Usyk did take a lot of all of Joshua's punches that he throws in that fight, right? But usually in a lot of other fights, Joshua would just hit you with that one punch that would just stun you, and there was just not that punch, like in the first Ruiz fight when he lost, right? He hit Ruiz with a shot that dropped into. He never hit Usyk with that type of shot, and I think because that's a credit to Usyk because his head movement is so good and his feet so good that he couldn't hit him with a stunning shot, and that's why he had to go to the only way that he could stun him was to the body. But if he had stunned him to the head I think that he would have had a good chance of knocking him out, but it was just a long shot.
That's true. Well, he did land a big straight right in the 10th round. That was like the biggest punch that he could land in that round, even though Usyk dominated, beat him up. I'm sorry, beat him up. But yeah, it was a straight right. But I guess it didn't have much snap into that right because he emptied the gas tank already. So, but other than that, it was a big shot, and Usyk took it very well and kept coming at him and put him back, put pressure on him and kept the fight in the middle of the ring. Yeah, Mr. Quick. Shout out to Mr. Quick in the chat. Mr. Quick says that AJ just doesn't have a good enough jab for Usyk to be such a big guy. Yeah, let's be fair here. Yeah, he's a heavyweight, right? Number one. Number two, Joshua does have a good jab. He has a very good jab, but to your point, Mr. Quick, it's just the jab is not as good as Usyk. That's just the way it is. Usyk just has levels and gears that supersedes Joshua. And just the thing is that Joshua's not used to fighting guys like that. And to be fair, neither is Tyson Fury other than the Steve Cunningham fight. And I know people say, well, Fury was a little green back then. Yeah, whatever. But he already had war level fights before he fought Cunningham. So no excuses, okay? Yes, he won the fight, but ever since then, he didn't want to fight a mover like Steve Cunningham. He never wanted to do that again. And that's why he's very hesitant to take the Usyk fight. He's talking about, well, you want me to fight Usyk, you got to bring out your paycheck. I mean, you got to bring out your checkbook. I'm like, okay, so you're pricing yourself out. That's what you're doing. You did that the last time, and now you want to do it again. So, yeah. But do you think Fury can beat Usyk? He's capable of it, but I just don't think I just don't think whatever he does to Usyk is going to be enough. Because let me tell you something. Oleksandr Usyk is very good at. He's very good at timing. When you try to lunge in and you think you can maul him and try to put your weight on him, like Joshua tried in their fight yesterday, he will counter you with some counter shots when you come in like that. And that's what Tyson Fury's got to have to be very wary about, because if he thinks he can just come in and just lead in with the jab, and you think you can lunge in and lean on Usyk, that's not going to happen. I mean, he'll probably do it in a couple moments. But the thing about Oleksandr Usyk, that's not going to zap his energy. He will still have great conditioning. That's the thing about it. And there were times in the fight where Joshua did hold him and try to lean on him, but Usyk's just energy was still on par after that. I'm like, what the hell is this guy? I'm not saying he's superhuman, but goddamn. But other than that, yeah, man, it is what it is. It is what it is. I know Wilder's got next heavyweight fight that's significant coming up is Deontay Wilder. Well, actually, no, it's Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz. That's coming up next month. That's about what.
Wait, how do you feel? How do you feel Wilder would do against Usyk?
Oh man, maybe he has a good chance. He does have a fast right hand. I mean, faster than AJ because he throws it at a higher speed rate, at a higher rate. He is awkward, especially if he's at 220s. He is fast on his feet. He's faster on his feet than AJ. He's a little bit more elusive than AJ. I'm not talking about the 220 Wilder, not the 238 Wilder. He has better cardio at 220s. So that's going to be a tougher fight for Usyk, in my opinion. But I think Usyk will beat him. And the reason why I say that is because I've watched some sparring videos with the David Haye sparring session. I know that was just a little clip here and there. Wilder had a tough time with David Haye, I guess because he was bothered by the movement and the fact that David Haye is a little bit shorter. So Wilder was having a very difficult time pinning him down, as you want to call it. Trying to pressure him. So that's the way I see it. And obviously, Oleksandr Usyk is levels above David Haye. So I think.
But David Haye is a puncher.
Yeah, true. But he's still very elusive. He just constantly moves, and that's the thing. Usyk not only is a puncher, but he can, he beats you with technique, and he beats you with movements and feints and speed. So I think Usyk will win that fight. It'll probably be a little bit tougher, but I think he wins.
So wait, so you think essentially Usyk is the best heavyweight in the world right now?
Yeah, in my book he is. And the reason why I say that, look, if Tyson Fury did give up his ring magazine and thus he had his linealship, he vacated his linealship according to the TBRB ratings. Now Usyk's got that linealship, so basically, according on paper and from what I'm seeing, he is the best heavyweight in the world. Tyson Fury could argue all he wants to that that's not true. I retired, but I'm not retired. Well, you told the Ring magazine that you're giving up your belt, and because when you did that, TBRB stripped your linealship now. So you're gonna have to deal with the fact that you got to fight the guy who is recognized as the heavyweight champion of the world, which is Oleksandr Usyk. So
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think in terms of resume,
yeah,
um, obviously Joshua had it, and then now Usyk beat him, so he's got it. But in
yeah,
terms of like skill level, probably like obviously cruiserweight skill is yeah, it's on a different level. But I don't know like who would win in a fight if I put Usyk versus every heavyweight right now. Yeah, would I put him at number one in terms of winning the fight? I don't know. I would, but
yeah.
I think he'd beat Joyce. I think he'd beat probably Wilder. He'd probably. I mean, he'll definitely beat
Well,
Dylan
I think
White.
he'll beat Joyce because yeah.
he'll
Go ahead.
Dylan White.
No, I was gonna say
No,
though
I
he,
think,
he oh go ahead. My bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no. I was just saying that he'll definitely beat Dylan White.
Yeah,
you know, he's already beat Chisora. Joseph Parker, I think, is a good fight.
yeah.
Honestly, I think Joseph Parker is a really good fight. I want
Yeah,
to
that'd
see
be a
him
good
against.
technical fight. That'd be more of a chess match because Joseph Parker does have very good hand speed for a heavyweight his size. But the thing about Parker is that he's not very good defensively. That's a problem with him. He gets hit a lot, and his cardio has always been a problem. That's plagued him in fights. So I think Usyk would win that fight. And
Wait,
Joe
has his
Joyce,
cardio been awesome? I thought he.
yes,
I
he's a
mean, I've looked at. I thought his stamina is quite good. Magic comes up. He's
well,
better
his
than
cardio.
AJ Della White
Yeah, well, the
in
Dillian
terms
White
of.
fight, his cardio was slightly better, but he was gassed to that fight too, even though he fought hard at the end. The AJ fight, not so much because neither men was pushing each other, so that was more of a, I would say, sparring session because that was not a good fight at all. So neither man could push each other. But I did see him gas out in the Carlos Taco fight. I did see him gas out against Alex Leopold, even though I was a journeyman. I did see him gas out against Chisora in the first fight because Chisora was pressuring him and he's hitting him with some bombs. And I thought Chisora should have got the decision. But obviously in the rematch, he did a lot better. He controlled the pace of that fight. So he fought at his own pace, and Chisora just couldn't keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just couldn't fight at his pace. He would just look like he was shot. But Mr. Quick says that Usyk is going to go to sleep against Wilder. I mean, that could happen. I'm not ruling that out, but I just think that Usyk is levels above Wilder. I think he's more
I
clever than.
don't know. Yeah. I don't think because you know what the thing is. I know that Wilder he punches way faster than Joshua, but
That's true. He does.
the thing is that he doesn't throw consecutive punches in quick succession. He throws that one punch. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Which is really fast, right?
Yeah.
And Usyk's head movement is actually mad. It's just mad. Do you know what I mean? And I think he'll be able to dodge that right hand for 12 rounds and probably be able to knock Wilder off balance and beat him.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But like I said though, I think Wilder has a better shot beating Usyk than Joshua does. I mean, these styles make fights. And Wilder's more awkward, is a lot more he's a lot faster on his feet.
Yeah.
He's a more awkward and he throws punches in different angles more so than Joshua does. So I think that's gonna be a intriguing fight, but I do edge Usyk to beat him. Uh Mr. Quick says nobody beats Wilder but Fury. I mean, that's possible.
No,
that's a
I
probably a
think
good point. But go ahead.
yeah. No, I think Fury Usyk beat Wilder. I think Fury would put up a better fight against Usyk than Wilder.
He probably will because he has more tools. He has more tools to give. But I like it again.
But
I have to go back to the Steve Cunningham fight. Fury did not like that fight at all. He doesn't even want to talk about it. He'll talk about it on some occasions, but he admitted himself that fight kind of gave him nightmares because he just, I mean, going in the ring against Steve Cunningham is like the guy was just moving out like in different angles. His hand speed, I mean, it's like his movement is like it really bothered him. It's something that he'd never seen before. He's like, dude, I'm not used to this. And the fact that he got knocked
yeah,
down by the guy, he's like, oh nah, man. He's like, I have to fight him. I have to rough him up, which he did. But at
yeah.
that at that point he's like, dude, that style gave him a nightmare. And let's be real. Steve Cunningham, it was at the back end of his career when he fought him. So imagine if
Yeah, I
Usyk,
mean,
yeah, go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. Go finish what you were
No, I'm
saying.
just saying though, Usyk, like I said, Usyk is levels above Steve Cunningham. So and he's a southpaw himself, and he's a lot more trickier, he's a lot more fast and a lot lighter on his feet than Cunningham. So yeah, Fury's gonna have a very difficult time pinning him down. I'm not saying he's not gonna have any success, but I don't know. And he doesn't punch as hard as Joshua. He
I
can
think,
punch if he sits on it, but I just don't think he
yeah,
punches as hard as Joshua. That's my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. No. I agree with that. That he doesn't punch as hard as Joshua, and he doesn't punch as hard as Wilder either. But I think when it comes to a guy like Usyk, yeah, punch power is not that important. It's not your key to success. I think your key to success is, I mean, at a certain point, yeah, the height becomes a problem for Usyk. There's pros and cons on both sides. Obviously, Fury has a hard time punching down and people that are significantly shorter than him that can
That's
move
true.
and like Cunningham, etc. And even Otto
A
Walden
lot of weight.
touched him
Yeah.
up a bit. Yeah, but the thing is, at the same time, Usyk will have a huge problem, like even reaching what both Wilder and Fury's face. I think he'll be able to reach Wilder's face because Wilder isn't that evasive, but
Right.
Fury is very evasive.
That's
So
true. That's true.
yeah, it's a good fight. It's a good fight, honestly. But I wouldn't be surprised if Fury won that. Honestly, I wouldn't be
No,
surprised
I
at
won't
all.
be shocked either. That's why I say it's not. I will. Let me say this. I'm not going to say Usyk's going to dominate Fury. I don't see him dominating him, but I think he's going to outsmart him. I think he's going to nick him. He's going to beat him, but nick the fight. You know what I mean? Because he'll be more clever than him. That's the way I see it. It'll be a close fight, but I think Usyk will have the edge because he's more clever. He has more tricks to his arsenal than Fury. If you think about it, more tricks. Because Fury doesn't move like that. He doesn't move like Usyk. He doesn't have the head movement like Usyk does. He can be elusive, but his head movement is not on par. And plus, when he gets hurt, Usyk recovers a lot faster than Fury. His powers of recovery are a lot better than his. So,
but one thing about the Joshua fight as well, yeah, is that Joshua is not is not nearly as good a leaner as Fury is. You know, Fury will actually lean on you, like, probably for the whole fight, you know. And Usyk was pushing Joshua off, etc., etc. I don't think he will be able to do that too easily with Fury. You know, like,
that's a good point. There's a lot of variables, man. I think this is kind of like a 60-40 fight or 55-40 fight. Let's say 55-45, but I favor Usyk. If you favor Fury, then no problem. I can't argue that.
Yeah.
But I just think that Usyk is more clever than Fury. That's just my opinion.
It's debatable.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's debatable indeed. Olaf says that I like that Josh went off the rail. That was highly entertaining. Yeah, that was entertaining, but that I didn't like it. I'll just be honest. That was uncalled for. It was entertaining, but that was not cool. The way you upstage Usyk like that, I got a problem with that. But I do commend Josh for apologizing for that. He was just at the heat of the moment. He was just upset. But yeah, in actuality, that's who he is. We got to see what he's really about. In fact, Dillian White said this several years ago. He told Joshua, stop putting on a facade. Show everybody who you really are. Well, I don't believe this nice guy bullshit. That's what Dillian White said. You're not a nice guy, dude. Stop lying to people. That's what yes.
I literally rewatched that interview yesterday. The gloves are off. I rewatched it yesterday after AJ lost. I was like, oh
man. Yeah. So Mr. Quick says, but he has a crunk style behind him now. What are you talking about, Fury? Yeah, fair point. Your analysis is usually spot on. Yeah, I didn't like that either, but it was indicative of poor character. I mean, yeah, look, I understand the frustrations. I think it was also due to the fact that he couldn't overcome this type of pressure like he's usually done for many years now. It's really got to him, given the fact that he lost to the same guy twice in a row, so consecutively, and that really can't hurt you, mentally. If you lose to the same guy twice, and it can't put a dent into into a fighter's ego, as you want to call it. But yeah, look,
I think he
go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say. I just think he just timed it wrong. I feel like he didn't say anything wrong. Yeah, everything that he said, it was respectful, etc., etc. He just timed it wrong. It was obviously Usyk's time to have his little post-fight interview first. And then after Usyk done his post-fight interview, when they turn to you, then you can make all of that ruckus. You know what I mean? But he kind of stole Usyk's shine at that moment. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't say anything wrong though. So I wouldn't think I don't buy into that. He's some evil guy, etc., etc. But yeah, definitely, it was out of character. It was strange. It was bizarre. That's what I say. It was bizarre.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Imagine Deontay Wilder did that. I wouldn't be surprised if he does that in any one of his fights, but I don't think Wilder would do that. But I could be wrong. But god damn,
But
that was
but
go
you
go
know
ahead.
what? You know what? The Wilder comparison is actually interesting one, because if you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If he
Right.
just walk, like people criticize Wilder for just walking off, yeah,
Yeah.
and not having the respect to like boost up his opponent, say congratulations, etc., etc. Right?
Yeah.
He just
Right.
walked off and left the ring, right? And
Right.
so AJ does it. AJ doesn't do that, and he gets criticized. So so it's like, which one is it? Is it bad to leave the ring, or is it bad to, take your opponent shine? Like, which one is it? But
That's a good point. Let's put it this way. It's both situations you're going to get criticized for, but what basically which one do you prefer that's less damaging than the other, right? I think the less damaging one is just walk out the ring, vent your frustrations backstage. That's it. But if you go out the ring and you start fucking trying to bully people, your opponents or handlers, you trying to bully them, you're going to cuss out everybody, you're going to throw a tantrum by throwing the belts on the ground or something like that, and then you want to take his Ukrainian flag and you confront him talking about, how'd you beat me? You're not strong. How did you beat me? I'm like, dude, you acting like a fucking soiled brat, bro. Why don't you relax? That right there was wrong. That was terrible. I would prefer that he just walked out and be upset. That was it. Because any normal fighter would do that if they felt they were hard done to. That's normal. Yeah, you get criticized for that,
yeah,
but
he
that is
wasn't hard done by.
yeah, he
Yeah,
wasn't. Yeah,
was
but
saying he wasn't hard done.
yeah,
But
yeah,
in terms of the comment that he when he said, "How did you beat me?" He was like I didn't take it as a dig to Usyk. Like, oh, how did you beat me? This I saw it as like he was actually bigging Usyk up. He was saying, like, yo, skills is what pays the bills. Like, this is how
right,
you beat me, because you're so skilled. You're a
right.
skillful fighter. So I don't find anything wrong with what he said. It was just the timing. I feel like it was the timing that was wrong. And like in terms of, I don't know what happened with the rest of his gang or whatever, the rest of his Usyk's people and etc. etc. It
Yeah,
seemed like, I think maybe they thought he was gonna say something crazy, and he was like, "Nah, nah, nah, I'm calm, man, I'm calm."
yeah.
But
Well,
when there's loads of people, it's just like, "Yeah, nah, nah, what's he trying to do? What's he trying to do?" You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It gets a bit blown out of proportion when there's a lot of people involved. Like,
Well, it's funny though because I think KD was there. KD, his cousin is like the managing director of 258 Management. I think that was him with the cap in the ring. He was shaking his head when Joshua was, giving his speech or something like that, his rant, and he was shaking his head in the ring. He's like, "What the fuck?" I mean, if that was KD, and I think that was him. I would have told him, "Look, man, you come on, we gotta go, bro. You said enough." I think somebody should, his family member should told him, like, "Dude, you gotta stop, bro. You gotta go." But
I
I can
mean, I
understand.
don't know. I don't know. Like, once, like the second he's grabbed hold of the mic, yeah, like it's too late. Like, I don't think anyone that was there would have stopped him. I don't think it was wise to stop him. You would have made him look even worse. Like, yo, what?
That
You know
is
what I mean?
true. That is true. That's why part of me says, you know what, you should have just let him talk and let him vent, and then he'll be done, and let him go.
Yeah, and that's what Usyk did. And Usyk didn't have a problem with what he said. Like in
No, you
post-fight
didn't.
interviews, like,
Yeah,
yeah, emotions, this and other. It's like, but like it didn't seem to me like from the post-fight interviews that Usyk had a problem with it. He didn't understand what he was saying in real time,
yeah,
and that was the look that he was giving. Because what is this guy saying? I don't know what he's saying. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. He was
But
looking at him like, "You're nuts, bro. What's wrong with you?" Yeah, Usyk looked at him like, "Dude, are you nuts? What the fuck wrong?" Oh my goodness, man. I mean, that was entertaining, but that was uncalled for, man. I think the way he cried in the presser, I get it, but it's like, to me, the damage is done. He apologized. I respect him for doing that, but
yeah.
I just think he needs to take a break from social media. Just enjoy your life for now. Don't even think about fighting. I don't care what Eddie Hearn says. You do not put him back in the ring in December. Don't do that. I don't care if it's a light touch. Don't put him back in the ring. Give him time to relax his mind, not just his body. Relax his mind. Let him reassess his career and figure out what he need to do at this point. And give him about a year off, at least that. So
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Quick says that yeah, that is part of the game is to take a defeat like a man and learn from it. Yeah, I mean Joshua has done that for the most part, but I guess it gets to the point that where I think the way he took the loss as if this was his last ride. That's what we're getting at, right? I think this is the way he took it. It's like he took the loss as if this was the end of his career. I personally don't see it, but I think what it is, though, let's be real here. Let's be fair. I think what it is that it does set him back further down the line. He probably won't get another title shot, probably another, I would say, year or two, if we're being
I think,
honest.
you know what? Like, I really want to know what was said to him, like because he left, yeah, and then
Yeah,
somebody said something to him, like in the crowd, yeah, and
yeah,
then he went back. So I don't know if it was probably an ego thing. Like somebody probably said, like, "Oh, why are you leaving for?" Or something.
yeah.
Like, why are you leaving? Stand in the ring like a man and accept the victory. So he's like, "What? Am I not a man for leaving? All right,
Yeah.
cool. I'm gonna go back and
Yeah.
I'm gonna give the guy his props." And then he did it, and it was just in the wrong way, and it backfired. But yeah, I want to know what somebody said to him in the ring, in the crowd, because I don't understand why he turned around and went back, and you know what I mean,
Well,
like when he was
what's
nearly
worst thing
out the
about
building.
that is that he did it in Saudi Arabia. That is a place where, certain languages, certain words cannot be said there. I'm not sure, cursing, using foul language is one of them, but he did it in
Yeah,
Saudi Arabia of all places. I'm like, huh. Hey, shout out to Percy Bedford, man. He said, look, I'm starting to think that Joshua's going to retire. If he does come back, he'll be repackaged as a heel. He probably he'll be repackaged as a guy that you love to hate so much that you're willing to pay to see him lose, kind of like Ali and Mayweather type of character. Maybe Sugar Ray Robinson to some extent, but more of a Ali and Floyd Mayweather Jr. character. Probably right, Percy. But look, I don't think he should retire. But the way he was going about it, and especially in the fight presser when Eddie Hearn was giving a eulogy or something like that, as you want to call it, some type of memorable speech, as if he's gonna leave the sport. I'm like, dude, I think again, I don't think I don't think he's gonna retire. But if he does, it's a shame. I still think he's a Hall of Famer, but I think he still has left to offer. But uh,
yeah, no, he shouldn't
but
retire.
yeah, but at the same time, to be fair, he has taken a lot of tough fights back to back to back to back to back to back. We got to commend him for that. It is a lot of pressure, and he overcame it. But sometimes there's guys who just has your number. Usyk had his number. That's just the way it is.
I, I I know Eddie did not have that speech here. Um, he did not do that speech here off the cuff, man. That was a prepared speech in case AJ loses.
Oh yeah, you know what? Because every
There's
word was
no
hit on
way.
point.
Yeah, he record every fight and where it was. Like, yo, no, that was come on, bro. That
Yeah,
was memorized. That was memorized, bro.
yeah, because that was a long, long speech. It's like, dude, every word for word. I mean, yeah, some people can improv it off top of their head, but sometimes you do stutter between your words when you give certain speeches like that, if especially if you didn't memorize it, you're just saying things off the top of your head. But
Exactly. Yeah. Or take a second to think of the next fight. Or you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
this guy was calling back fights back to back. Like, oh, this fight in the UK, this fight at Wembley Stadium, that fight at the O2, that fight at Trinity Stadium, this fight in Saudi Arabia, that fight, and da-da-da. Then he did this, then he did that, then he did that. No, man,
I'm
that was
like,
not
yeah,
off
I'm
the
not
cuff.
like that was bizarre, boy. But you know what though, speaking of stadium fights, if Joshua does come back, and I think he will, uh we don't expect him to go into a stadium fight. I think that ship has sailed for at least for a long while. If you're going to put him in a stadium fight again, it has to be like a big significant fight against a Deontay Wilder or a Tyson Fury.
You know what the thing is? I mean, he can sell out like. I mean, he's still gonna sell out. I think in the UK, yeah, he
Yeah,
can do like 20,000,
yeah,
twenty
like
thousand
yeah, at
seaters
the
and stuff
O2.
like that.
Yeah, like an
Yeah,
O2.
the old dude. That'd be good for him, I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good for him. But going back to Mr. Quick in the chat, he said, "Look, I think he's a Joshua fan. He said, look, I think he needs to retire and live out his life and enjoy it. You know what? Not, look, like I said, he's got a lot of money. He's financially set. Hopefully, he's investing his money very well. I think he has his family set for life, if you think about it. So, yeah, he could walk out of the sport and be gracious, especially if he has his health faculty still intact. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, though, let him rest. Give him a year off, or a year off and a half, and let him just take his time, enjoy his life, be with his family. Just don't limit your social media activity. Just enjoy your life, man. Don't do any media appearances. Yeah, you can still do your business, handle your side businesses with your 258 management. You can still do that. But yeah, don't think about boxing right now. Let KD handle that. That's his job. He's the manager director there. So let him handle that. And you could just chill right now and be with your family, be with your kid, Just do that. And then again, then you have enough time to regroup and reassess your career and see where you want to go go at that point. So yeah, my hats off to Anthony Joshua. And again, I'm not insinuating he's going to retire. I just think that at this point, just let him rest for now and don't think about a fight in December. Eddie Hearn, I don't know why he would say that at all. I don't know why he would say he's putting him back in there in December. Bad idea. Uh,
Yeah,
so
no, I think like he should take the rest of the year off. Like this is a good time. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like because it's not like a after Christmas, like the fights before Christmas where you've lost the fight and then you
yeah.
have to do with the family and they all know you've lost the fight and all that. That's embarrassing. But this is in August. By Christmas, people forget about it. In January, like he can get back in the gym and what I'm saying, and then get into a camp like March and have a fight in like June next year. Like I reckon.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a good idea. Yeah, give him a year off. Maybe a year is more enough time for him to recover, and let him have a holiday here and there to get his mind off everything. Especially getting off the mind off boxing. But it's very interesting to see how the zone deal is going to work out. I think when he does come back, they're going to put him in there against Dillian White, the rematch.
But
I think
but
that's
the
what they're
thing,
going to do.
what I think here, because obviously boxing is like a short, like you have a short career, like a short time frame to make loads of money. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm thinking like commercially, it'll probably make sense for him to cash out now, just have like a bunch of big money fights, and then dip. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna be undisputed or whatever, or maybe you can claw your way back up and then be undisputed and that.
Well,
But
you know what though? Here's an interesting thing. All eyes is going to be on Oleksandr Usyk and see what the next step is, because he made it clear that if he can't get the Fury fight, he's going to retire. So if Fury decides to duck out of that fight again, then the WBA is going to start calling mandatories, and that's when Usyk's going to say, you know what, I'm done. If I can't get the big fight with Fury, then I'm going to be done. So then all the belts are going to be vacated, and there
yeah,
would be a perfect opportunity for Joshua to get a shot at the title again. So
yeah, and then someone will have to like collect the belts again, etc. Unify them, undisputed again.
right,
Oh
yeah,
man, that's. I hope. I don't know, man. Somebody needs to do something about this four belt era. Some like
yeah,
once you're undisputed, yeah, either drop two belts and say
yeah,
the rest, the other two, these are the only relevant belts. Forget the
yeah,
others. You know what I mean?
r-
Like
yeah,
something
agree.
like.
Yeah, it's sad though, because now like the undisputed. Hopefully, we're one step close now, because neither guy has a mandate. Well, the WBA, I think they're going to call their mandatory unless if Fury start cooperating and get that undisputed fight done. But if he doesn't cooperate, then the WBA is going to start calling them mandatories, and it's sad though, because now the heavyweight pitcher without undisputed champion takes another step back. So. Shout out to Big Boys in the chat. He said that Joshua should fight again in December, in my opinion, get back on the horse, so to speak. Hope all is well. Yeah, man. Hope all is well too. But we agree to disagree. I don't think he'd be ready mentally in December. That's just my opinion. Physically, I think he will be, but mentally, no. Nah, man. Because if you're not if it goes hand to hand. You know what I mean? You could be physically ready, but if you're not mentally ready, your physicality is not going to do you any good, because they're intertwined with each other. If that makes any sense. So you not only have to be physically strong, but you have to be mentally strong too to get you through fights. So at this point, I really
Yeah,
don't think.
the
Yeah, go
worst
ahead.
thing for him is to get back too early and then lose to like a journeyman or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that would be the
yeah,
worst thing for resume in his career. That he needs
right.
to
I agree.
come back when he's ready.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Unless they've already penciled in, no matter what the result is, he'll be fighting December. I'm like, nah, man. That, oh man, I'll be shocked if Eddie Hearn and Match announced that, or the Zone, I should say, announced that Joshua's going to be returning in December. I'll be shocked. I'm like, no, that's a horrible idea. Even if he comes through it, then again, somewhat bit of pressure is going to be on him again to perform against top level opponents. at this stage of his career, I have to say it, Joshua has regressed. He's declined. So he's not going to be this. He's not the same fighter that he used to be. Obviously, that is expected because you've taken so many tough fights back to back to back to back. So yeah, I don't know. It's debatable, but we'll see. Let me see if there's anything else I need to discuss. We kind of went over the undercard with the Usyk Joshua 2 undercard. We talked about the Herkovich fight. Herkovich got a gift decision. We all agree there. So some interesting news. Dimitri Bivol and Gilberto Ramirez, they've actually reached a deal. So there is no purse bid. The fight will take place in the UAE. Interesting. So Dimitri Bivol and Gilberto Ramirez is going to be fighting in the UAE. My question is, where in the UAE they're going to fight? Are they going to fight in Saudi Arabia, or are they going to fight in Dubai? Very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's going to be Dubai because UAE is separate from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a country in UAE as well.
Oh, that's true. That's true. They're different. They're like an independent state from the UAE, right?
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia. That's true. That's true. So yeah, it has to be Dubai. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
They're going to fight in Dubai.
Dubai, or maybe like Kuwait or something like that.
Yeah, or Abu Dhabi or Qatar. So
yeah.
Good point. Yeah, let me see. Big Boy says, yeah, he won't lose to a journeyman, in my opinion. He's still top 3. Just Usyk is better. Yeah, that's true. Look, my point is, even if he fights a journeyman in his return fight, I mean, the zone obviously not going to approve it because they want his next fight to be on pay-per-view. But even if it's a journeyman, I still don't think he'll be mentally there. It's just not enough time. I think he needs more time to recover mentally. I think a year would suffice. Maybe if you want to slim it down a little bit, maybe 8 months. I don't know, but he needs more. He needs to take the rest of the year off. We all can agree on that.
June, that's perfect. 7 months.
Go ahead.
June, that's perfect. That's 10 months.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's 10 months. Yeah, I think 10 months is good. Mr. Quick says, nah, he's right. AJ 3 years ago would have been much better, have done much better against Usyk. The decline started just before the Andy Ruiz fight. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 3 years ago when he was fresh and he was a prime, when he's hungry, he probably would have done a lot better job. I still probably favor Usyk to beat him because.
No, this is the thing. You know what? Yeah. An interesting thought experiment. Yeah, it's like imagine AJ had not been on the scene like as we've seen him, and he was actually coming up and was a contender, and Usyk was the champion. I think he would have beat Usyk if he was coming up and challenging Usyk for the titles. Yeah, when he was coming up, he would have beat Usyk, I reckon.
Yeah, you know what? That's the triangle formula. That probably would make sense because he's a prospect. He's hungry. He's in the title. He's fighting for a world title for the first time. He's fast. He's elusive. Not elusive, but he's fast and he's big and he's strong. So yeah, and he punches. He has very good punch coordination. So he probably would have beaten Usyk. I'm not saying that's a definite, but he would have, especially if Usyk was if he was a long reigning champion at the time. But if he's showing some bit of of decline, then that Joshua probably would have been beating him at that prime of his career. Probably that would have been the case. I wouldn't argue against that. So, yeah. As far as other stuff is concerned, yeah, Omar Figueroa. I didn't watch the PBC card because I was out with my wife. We were out having a dinner in the movie. We went to go see the movie Nope. I'm not going to give out the spoilers on that one. I'll let you judge for yourself if you're still a movie, if you're a movie critic. But other than that, Omar Figueroa retires after he lost to Sergey Lipinets. I'm not sure if you saw the fight, but I have to say Sergey Lipinets has a unique resume because this is the second fighter that he's retired. The other one is Lamont Peterson. Obviously, Lamont Peterson is a much more accomplished fighter than Omar Figueroa, but Omar Figueroa it's a disappointment. He's a bust, as you want to call it. Yeah, he was world champion at lightweight, but that was not a long reign. He's had disciplinary issues. He's blown up in weights between fights. He's had a lot of fights canceled because of the fact that he doesn't come in shape. Funny and ironic enough that he accused Adrian Broner for pulling out of the fight because he didn't come in shape. Well, it is what it is, but yeah, interesting to see, man. Did you see the PBC card? No, okay. So
what second?
Yeah, did you watch the fights on PBC or ESPN yesterday for Top Rank?
Nah. Who fought on that? Wait, did Navarrete fight on that?
Yeah, he fought Baez. He knocked him out badly, which was expected. I didn't get to watch it, but I have to check the. I have to go ahead and check the full fight if I can find it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
he did well. Navarrete is dominating that division, man.
Well, that was expected because Navarrete's a big guy at that weight, man. I know. I thought he was too big at super bantam, but but damn, he's a big featherweight. I think he
Yeah,
needs to move up to some featherweight.
yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Like ever since he beat Isaac Dogbe, and he's just been running that division, man, just back to back wins.
Yeah, I know. He's been a terror, boy. That's why I said, dude, if Shakur Stevenson, I know. Well, he's not going to be at super featherweight much longer. He's too big to be at there as well. I think he's going to take one more fight and then he's going to move up to lightweight. So, but we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, man, I think we covered everything about the Joshua Usyk situation, where they're going to go from here. But yeah, unless you have any final words or anything, I'm going to close this up.
Nah, man. Yeah, man. No, good chopping it up.
As always, man, it's good seeing you, man. It's been a while, but hey, don't be a stranger, man. You're always welcome to come back on my live stream, all right?
No doubt. Appreciate it, bro.
All right, anytime, man. Peace.
All right, peace.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank Amir and Dwayne for coming in and chopping it up. I want to thank Big Boys, Mr. Quick, Percy Bedford. Then we had Joe Hosu was here momentarily. Then we had Boxing Lounge. Shout out to you, Boxing Lounge, Olaf the Mighty, whatnot. So Dwayne, yeah, I did pick up Dwayne. So we'll go ahead and close this up. So we're signing off. Peace. Thanks, Mr. Quick. We out. Till next time.